welcome to the all-new, all-different #1 comics podcast, episode number 36. I'm Dan, that's Bob. Say hello, Bob.
Hello, Bob.
We are a comic book podcast where each and every single episode we take a look at a brand new first issue comic book that has been released this very week in your local comic book shops as well as online. We break down the story as well as art, give it a loose review, and tell you if we think that you should move on to issue number 2 or not. We also talk a little bit of comic book news and what's new in comic book shops this and next week. And this week we'll be taking a deep dive into the all-new #1 from Massive Publishing in collaboration with Kingwood Comics.
Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. Yes, you heard that right.
That is correct. Harriet Tubman, but this time she is a demon slayer, and she certainly is a demon slayer.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we are back with the all-new, all-different #1 Comics podcast, episode number 36. Bob, they say that no news is good news, and...
So you're saying there's no news? That's good news?
There's not really any news to speak of.
Okay.
There's, little tiny snippets of things out there, but not anything really interesting enough for us to break into. There is some huge spoiler for Avengers Inc. If we want to go over that, I could drop that bomb really quick, but I will note to everyone listening, go ahead and fast forward a minute, because I don't assume we'll spend too much time on it, but maybe go up to the 3-minute, 15-second mark starting now. So, Avengers Inc. #1, again, spoiler alert. So, if you have not read it yet, maybe fast forward. But,
Earmuffs.
Yeah. Avengers Inc. brings back Bob's favorite Ant-Man of all time, Hank Pym.
I thought you were going to say Eric O'Grady for a minute.
No. Somebody who's, been dead since... 2015,
Jeez.
I guess,
yeah,
right?
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a little bit.
Last I knew about Hank Pym, he was merged with Ultron.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? Ultron. What was that storyline called? Ultron. I can't remember. Ultron something. But yeah, that's the last time we saw Hank Pym. Mm-hmm. So he's been resurrected here in some form or another. And how Avengers Inc. is working basically is it is, and I guess, spoiler over now. I won't say anything else about that specific spoiler, so just know.
Man, that was huge. Yeah. I can't believe that.
I know. I can't believe they killed Kamala Khan. But, again. But
spoiler alert.
Just joking, they did not. But regardless, Avengers Inc. is kind of like a mystery happens, and the Avengers or members of the Avengers or whatever kind of solve that. But it seems like they're a little self-contained, into the single issue. So I don't know if that has any spillover to other issues or if everything's revealed there and wrapped up and in a nice package and that's done. But
so is it going to be a villain of the week type thing?
That's what I'm sensing. It's definitely gonna be that kind of thing. But yeah,
kind of a nice change of pace from these long, drawn-out stories.
Yeah, it sounds kind of cool, and it almost is reminding me of that DC Human Target series that wrapped up pretty recently. So, kind of has vibes of that too. How about we both watched the whatever you want to call that teaser for the trailer for Aquaman 2.
The trailer that comes up tomorrow that DC's already given up on.
Yeah, definitely. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So there's not a whole lot there to really talk about. We don't know anything about the story or anything like that. But do you have thoughts? Is there anything you want to point out or bring up in that?
Just that they may be a little villain heavy.
Yeah. I'm reading here too on comicbookmovie.com that James Wan is addressing reports that a Batman is set to be in the sequel and stuff about Amber Heard as well. But God, do you think we're gonna see Batman again in this?
I mean, we've pretty much seen him in most other DC properties.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely saw him in the Flash. There, what, 3 different incarnations of Batman?
Which Batman was the best part?
Oh God,
of the Flash.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that, and then of course, we Amber Heard, we have all of that going on. So I've heard that that they're killing her off in at, like, towards the beginning of this. That would make a lot of sense. I don't know. I don't have much of a stake in this. Like, I don't care too much. I really didn't like that first movie. I thought it just dragged on and on. It was really boring. It was a visual spectacle, but that was about it.
See, I mean, kill her off, don't kill her off. I mean, you're pretty much killing this version of the DC universe off anyway.
Like, what does it even really matter?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it's interesting. We talked about that, I don't know, it was last week or a couple of weeks ago or whatever, but it's like, it's so hard for me at least to be invested in something that just doesn't matter. And I know that's how movies used to be. It's not like you had to go into, watching Home Alone or something, thinking it was going to connect to a wider world. Like, it didn't matter. But unfortunately, that's how movies are now. It does matter. Right. So when it's just like this throwaway thing, why even waste the time,
Right.
Time is so precious, and then you're spending 2 hours at least watching something that they're like, hey, this doesn't matter, there'll be another actor in the role, soon, and all of this.
Right. And I mean, fortunately, Marvel got it right on the first try. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, DC didn't get it right on, what try are they on now?
God only knows. That's something that I kind of wanted to talk about too, with the lack of news, maybe just discussion on movies or whatever. Mm-hmm. How do you feel now, if you can separate the movies from the actors? I don't know if you're able to do that in your head or not, but how do you feel about this casting of the DCU? Like, just in general, the past, like, who's been cast in those roles? Do you feel like they did a good job with casting? Because I think it would be not like a bold statement to say stuff didn't work out because of the way it was, like, managed from the back end.
Right.
Like, the whole trying to build that universe was the problem. Not, I don't know if the actors were, but
I think it's pretty much been hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Henry Cavill made a good Superman.
Yeah, agreed.
I thought Gal Gadot made a good Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. I did not think Ezra Miller made.
Yeah, good Flash. I agree. I don't think Ezra Miller either.
I thought Ben Affleck made a good Batman. Mm-hmm. I thought, and he's gone on record to say that he did not enjoy it at all. I thought Ray Fisher did not make a good Cyborg at all.
Yeah, I really didn't like him as Cyborg either.
I mean, like I said, it's Ray Fisher. It's come out of his mouth that he didn't enjoy, his time as Cyborg anyway. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's been really hit or miss as far as DC. I mean, again, Marvel has you can tell they've definitely done their homework.
Yep.
On the choices they've made. I don't know. DC, they have more misses than hits. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't say for Jaime Reyes because I haven't seen the new Blue Beetle yet.
Yep.
I think, can I say Jason Momoa is the best Aquaman? No. Can I say he's good as Aquaman? I think so. I know you have differing opinions though.
I don't know. It's not him. He was okay. I don't know. I don't know what I want out of Aquaman, but it's not that. Like, and I don't feel like he's a bad actor either. Like, I just don't feel like something about him in the role just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not sure what it was, but like my favorite DCEU, I guess, whatever it's supposed to be called in that incarnation.
Robert Pattinson.
No, it's definitely not that. But yeah, it's not that. It's not Joaquin Phoenix. sorry, no thanks. But no, my favorite. I do like Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought he was really good, and I'm with you on Gal Gadot. She's really good, but I honestly really liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was a really good Batman. You can kind of tell, and we know from Ben Affleck, in the past and everything, like, he's a fan. He reads comics to some extent. I don't know if he reads Batman comics, but, he just seems invested, like, more so than a lot of the people that showed up. So, and I always like Ben Affleck. He's got, like, a certain amount of charm, but also, like, this real world quality to him, like, where he's not, like, such a high star level, where he's just, not somebody you could meet on the streets or whatever. Like, I like Ben Affleck. So I think that he's relatable enough. Now, when you get into, like, Jason Momoa and stuff, I don't like Jason Momoa. He acts fine. Great looking guy and everything, but I just don't like him. He seems like, I don't know if Jason Momoa used to be like a UFC fighter, professional wrestler or something, but he just seems like one of those guys. Like, I just don't like him. So I don't know. Kind of like The Rock, I don't like The Rock. Like, whatever.
Rock's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, definitely. And not to say I don't enjoy some of his movies or some of his performances or whatever, but I don't know. I just find it hard to connect. Now you take, actors that the MCU has cast and stuff like that. I like most of those people. Like, there's not really anybody that I don't kind of connect with on, like, a human level. Not that I know these people, but you understand what I mean. Like, I like their personalities. I like, how they act in interviews. I like all of that stuff. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, it'll be very, very interesting moving forward. Again, like, we do have James Gunn trying to pull this thing together and make a whole extended universe, and also he's thinking really, really big, trying to bring it in from cartoons to video games, comic books, everything, every angle, tie it all in together. Hopefully he does.
Now, one of the few mainstays, and I'm interested to see if you'd like James Gunn to bring this actor back, but one of the few mainstays has been Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
As Harley Quinn. How do you feel? How would you feel about James Gunn moving forward with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn if he decided to do that?
I really like her as Harley Quinn. I think that she does a really good job and she looks great in the character and all of that. I will say this. I think that they should just wipe the slate completely clean and recast everyone. I don't think anybody should be pulled over. Because it's not going to feel, like, in my opinion, like I'm just going to connect it to that old universe. Like, if you really want to reboot the whole thing.
Like it's being brand new. Like somebody's just starting over.
Yep, yeah. If you really want to separate all the past and come up with a new thing with the slate wiped completely clean and all of that, then I think every single person needs to be recast and there should not be anybody carried over from the old DCU, whatever the hell it's called. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah.
I don't know. I could see a few of the better ones being brought over. Just a few again. Gal Gadot. She would actually be my number one to be brought over.
Oh, okay.
Ben Affleck, I mean, he's good as Batman, but I hate to say it, but there's been good Batman before him. There'll be good Batman after him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's the definitive on-screen Batman.
No.
I think somebody else could fill that role definitely, and also, I think we've mentioned before, but you have to consider his age too.
Right.
I mean, who wants to see like a late 40s Batman?
Yeah,
like, you kind of need somebody younger in the role.
Exactly. That's one thing the MCU has got going.
Yeah.
They've cast to where they're not too old. I mean, they're young enough to where if they want to use them multiple times, they still have enough shelf life, I guess is the best word to use right now.
Yep. Yeah, and I get you. It's very. You have to think about those kind of things. You're connecting like a whole universe, trying to make like a lot of movies and everything. Like, do you really want, a Batman who's approaching like retirement age and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. But I don't know. That's all I really want to say about the DCU right now. How about the El Muerto news that dropped? Sony is
Bad Bunny.
I know Sony still intends to make the movie. They say they are still making this movie. Yep. They will still be making it, but Bad Bunny has dropped out, and they will recast it to somebody else. So, Bob, there's your shot. I don't know. I mean, look, put it right here on record. Bob's up for the role, so.
I mean, I can't necessarily say I'm really disappointed because I'm not greatly familiar with Bad Bunny. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I just can't think if I have before. And Bad Bunny has done not a lot, but a good amount enough in wrestling that I am familiar with him in his work, but especially not being a big music person. I'm just not familiar with, Bad Bunny outside of professional wrestling. So, and being as that he's not really an actor, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've seen that plenty of times. Definitely see, musicians, wrestlers, whatever, begin acting in a movie or whatever.
And unfortunately, it doesn't usually work out too well your first time out.
Yeah. What was that great Hulk Hogan movie where he was like a babysitter or something?
Wait a minute. Did you just say great Hulk Hogan movie in the same sentence?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What was that thing? Yeah, and I'll also say that great 90s Hulk Hogan rap album.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, there was some movie where he was like a babysitter or something. Something like that.
Oh.
He wasn't a kindergarten teacher. I think he was a babysitter.
I know Arnold was the kindergarten.
Yeah, the kindergarten cop. Yeah, that. Yeah,
I honestly can't really remember the
Yeah, I mean, I could easily just look it up, but I'm not going to go through the.
No, as far as wrestlers and movies, I mean, you could either say Dave Bautista is Drax because Dave Bautista is Drax. That was one of the best casting choices I've seen, and I was very skeptical on that because I know it boiled down to either Dave Bautista or Jason Momoa.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And my whole thing was, okay, if they're just going to have Drax be the strong, silent type, go with Bautista. Because he's, built more like Drax.
Yep.
But if they're going to have him talk a lot, which ultimately they did, go with Momoa. But I am so glad they went with Dave Bautista.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely, made that role his own and did a lot with it.
But probably, as far as, starring roles, probably the best, wrestler to actor that I've seen is actually, what was it, They Live? With Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper, yeah. Oh, man, They Live is a outstanding movie.
Oh, yeah, I love They Live.
Yeah, that's a good movie. The movie that I was looking for was called Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny. Yeah, I knew it had Nanny in the title. I just couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Oh yeah, that's the title of that.
That one actually had a couple of different wrestlers in it.
Oh, did it? Okay, I don't know if I actually ever saw it.
Yeah, it had more than Hulk Hogan in it, but yeah,
fun. Bunch of other wrestler nannies, I guess. Maybe like a daddy daycare type of movie, but with I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. But how about, look, here's some news that I can't weigh in on. I know nothing about, but I've heard some great reviews of this new Ahsoka episode that just dropped. Again, nothing I can say to it, but if there's anything you want to say, or if you just want to second that opinion, then here you are.
Besides the fact that Dave Filoni should just be the overseer of anything Star Wars. I mean, he pretty much began as a fan.
Yep.
I mean, you can definitely tell, and I mean, he's, I mean, he's put so much, blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak,
Yep.
in, everything he does that, I mean, whether directing or writing or anything like that, he's knocked it out of the park, so if they could get rid of Kathleen Kennedy and put Dave Filoni in her place, then, hey, I'm fine with it.
Wow. Well, yeah, who knows? That kind of thing happens all the time. So that about wraps up the news. I don't really have anything else to say in that, anything big. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we have returned, Bob. We are back with episode number 36 of the all new, all different number one comics podcast to talk to you guys about some books that dropped in local comic book shops as well as online this very week, September 13th, 2023, year of the Bob. Bob, we've got some new comics that came out this week. From DC Comics, they did a... what is this, facsimile of Batman #1. So you can get a copy of Batman #1.
3 different ways, too.
Oh, yeah. There's a blank that's not really blank. There's a regular cover. There's probably some other covers. I don't know. There's covers. And it's Batman. So
yeah, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of a blank cover?
Yeah,
blank sketch cover when you have anything on the cover?
Yeah, I mean, I get the huge trade dress thing, but there's buildings. Yeah. There's, I don't know. It's weird. But whatever. I guess that's so Tom King can draw a stick figure out of convention on it. We also got the proper comic of Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #1 that a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, the Ashkin came out in stores. Mm-hmm. This one's got the first appearance of Crytoon, Bob's favorite new Batman villain. Bob, is that a sigh I'm sensing on your end? I can't believe it.
He's got new villains coming out all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah, Batman gets a new villain every day.
Soon we're going to find out that the Court of Owls had a villain which made them villains.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right there. Speaking of villains, we also got Batman and Robin #1, new volume of Batman and Robin, with the first cameo appearance of Shush, Bob's other favorite new villain. Yes. And this one had, I will say, this is the only DC book that I picked up this week, had a really cool Art Germ variant cover on it. Don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, really cool cover. So I picked that up, but that was my only DC pickup this week. We also got World's Finest Teen Titans #3, first appearance of Toy Boy, an obsessive fan of Wonder Girl. I don't know. I mean, I'm an obsessive fan of Wonder Girl. Why didn't DC put me in a comic and name me?
That's one of the worst names I've ever heard. Toy Boy.
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
It sounds like an extra in Magic Mike.
Maybe it is. Maybe in Magic Mike, the 15th sequel will appear. So I can only hope. Going over to another publisher, let's talk about Dark Horse's new #1, The Alternates #1. This has a group of B-list heroes who disappeared to a different reality and gained incredible superpowers, returned to their much less vivid home dimension, but a stowaway from the other world in the form of a street drug hitched a ride back home with them, causing a rift between the heroes. This sounds fucking wacky as hell. Like, excuse my language, but yeah. I am really excited to read this, and I think the creative team on it is really cool too. If I can pull that up, yeah, Patton Oswalt is a writer on it. So
really,
yeah. And this stems out from. There was a book, Minor Threats. If you remember Minor Threats, that was just wrapped up a little while ago. This stems out from that. So really cool. I am excited to read that one. From Scout Comics, we had Sissy #1. A boy must travel to the Darklands to find his sister who was kidnapped by an evil called the Crying Man. That's kind of scary. A crying man that's evil. You don't usually cry when you're evil, I don't think. But yeah, who knows? From Image Comics, we got the new volume of Creepshow, issue #1 here. And as I said last week, this one's got a preview of Transformers #1. This one's really cool. The regular cover has a Gilliam March cover art on it. It's written by Phil Hester as well as Garth Ennis, and it's got art by Becky Cloonan and Phil Hester in it. So this is like a. There's no way this book can be bad. This is going to be really, really good, I think. And then Garth Ennis in there just doing some weird stuff.
If it's written by Garth Ennis, you know it's going to be intense.
Yeah, definitely. From IDW, we got Killmore #1. I'm not even gonna go. This solicit's insane, so I'll skip that one.
Yeah.
Dynamite, we got Negaduck #1. So a spinoff there. I don't know. I picked it up. Did you, Bob?
I didn't know.
You didn't pick up Negaduck #1?
No.
Yeah, it looks fun. I figured I'd give it a shot. This is Negaduck is a villain to Darkwing Duck, so it's a little, I don't know, maybe
because everybody has a nega.
yeah. Also from Dark Horse Comics, we got St. John #1, a masked man who roams Portland doing good deeds for strangers, appearing at random and vanishing without a trace while a cynical writer attempts to track him down and identify the vigilante. It just sounds like Bob's Tuesday afternoon. So.
That sounded like J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, yeah? Well, get me Spider-Man, you damn kids. Also from IDW, we got Sonic the Hedgehog's 900th adventure, a one-shot celebrating Sonic's 900th English language comic book issue. So, I mean, I guess if you're interested in that, then pick that up.
I wonder how they had to specify 900th English language.
Yeah, insane. We got Star Trek Picard's Academy #1. This has the origin of Jean-Luc Picard. So, I mean, pick that up, if you're...
Do you really need an origin of Patrick Stewart's character?
I don't know. Yeah, of course. It's a comic book. That's what they're there for, to expand on the worlds. Also from Dark Horse Comics, we got Usagi Yojimbo, Ice and Snow #1, series that follows the Green Dragon story arc. I didn't even see this at my local shop, so maybe it got pushed back, or maybe I just didn't grab it. But again, I did not see it there. Let's go into Marvel, because there are some Marvel comics this week. We got X-Force 44, first team appearance of Wolverine Sentinels. Werewolf by Night #1. Again, I think it's just a one-shot, which saddens me. But this has the first appearance of Dr. Necromancer. So this is really cool. And the thing I like about this book, because I did just kind of crack it open in the shop just to look at it, is it's kind of following along the Elsa Bloodstone and the werewolf that were in the Werewolf by Night special that came out, the Halloween special that came out on Disney+. So Elsa Bloodstone is like in color and everything, and then whenever we get to the werewolf, it's black and white. So it's just got some cool vibes here.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. We got Venom's annual Contest of Chaos crossover, Venom versus Deadpool. Venom issue #25, a 64-pager. We got Spine-Tingling Spider-Man with a 0 issue this week, $10 cover price, but this one's got the first appearance of the Sleep Stealer, Bob's scariest villain of all time. Yeah.
I mean, my sleep has already been stolen.
I know, that's what I was going to say. So just imagine
Sleep
more
Stealer.
of it going away. But
where's the Sandman when you need him?
yeah, exactly. Somebody battle this guy, please. We got Spider-Gwen Annual 1, second printing. I don't know why we're doing this anymore. Second print on everything with incentive second printings. It's just wacky. But
I mean, a regular issue I can understand, but an annual?
Yeah, I agree. We got Moon Knight #25, second printing, again with an incentive. We did get Ghost Rider issue 18 with the origin of Talia Warroad, but our local comic book shops issues were damaged, so Bob and I did not get to pick up our Ghost Riders.
Except for the incentive.
Yeah, so please don't spoil that one for us, But also a second printing and incentive variant on Death of Venomverse #1. We got a whole new Daredevil #1, premiere issue with a new creative team there. We also got Captain Marvel Dark Tempest #3, first team appearance of the Feral Five. I don't know. First team appearance, sure. As we talked before about that Avengers Inc. #1, a noir mystery series with the Wasp and Victor Shade, aka the Vision. some cool stuff. If you want to go back and check out the spoiler, it's at the beginning of the episode. We got Alligator Loki #1, first appearance of Alligator Loki. This is a one-shot collection of the Marvel Infinity digital comics. And I think that about wraps up all of... No, sorry, let me go back and not forget Star Wars here. Yeah, we did get the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's sitting on the top of your
right
pile.
There. Yeah, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, issue #1, first appearance of Reva, the third sister of... Oh, God, Bob, I don't know.
The Inquisitors.
Oh, is that what that says?
Yes.
Jeez, okay, the Inquisitors. All right, well, good.
Glad if I'm not mistaken, this is the second volume, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a Obi-Wan Kenobi before. Those are all the new books that dropped this week, and damn, there were a lot. So we are going to take a quick break. So, I don't know, Bob can get some fresh air before we go into the review. And we are back with the all-new, all-different #1 Comics Podcast, episode number 36. Bob, let's talk about the book that we are talking about on today's show, which is Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, of course, published through Massive Publishing, which is the new name for Whatnot's Publishing. And it's also, it's co-published by Kingwood.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
how
guess
you
you were
say
saying
that,
collaboration.
Yeah, collaborated, sure, whatever. But this is this creator's own, kind of spin-off publisher. I don't know, whatever words are. But yeah, I'm going to go over the synopsis from their site really quick. Concept artist and Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer series artist Cortland Ellis delivers his signature design for this groundbreaking debut. Django Unchained meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer in David Crownson's Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, a supernatural comic series based on the true life of the freedom fighter herself that is flavored with genre liberties in the spirit of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And this is soon to be an original series on Disney Plus, of all things, which is very cool, but they note that there. When slave owners can't stop the formidable ninja warrior Harriet Tubman, they call on the help of vampires, werewolves, witches, and demons to stop her. Harriet Tubman must lead a family of slaves to freedom while battling an army of darkness. Yeah, I love that solicit. It's very, very cool. Let's talk about the creators really quick before I go over to my synopsis. We have David Crownson as the writer. This is David Crownson's only credit so far, but luckily in the back of the book, it has a little creator bio on the creators here, right. So I'm going to read those really quick. Born and raised in the exotic town of Frenchtown, New Jersey, David Crownson grew up with a passion for storytelling, which started with comics and film. This served him as an actor and writer. He is the writer-creator of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, published by his company, Kingwood Comics. This best-selling comic is soon to become a TV series produced by Disney's Onyx Collective, produced by someone and someone else. He loves God, his mom, his girlfriend, long walks, Red Lobster biscuits, and petting your dog. David can be seen on the YouTube series Bubbly Brown Sugar and is followed by Barack Obama on Twitter, a.k.a. They Mean X.
I mean, who doesn't love Red Lobster cheddar bay biscuits?
I don't know. That's a good question. Cortland Ellis is the illustrator here and is one of the many illustrators working on Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. Currently, Cortland is working as a freelance concept and character designer, as well as being a pre-production and motion graphic artist at Decoy Games, The Lion Animation, DreamWorks, Godhood Comics, Maui Studios, and Aspire Ventures. Cortland earned his degree at Houston School of Art. He has worked as a production and concept artist for the Second Fiction Gaming Studio and general graphics artist for Food and Wine magazine. Lastly, Sharondan Brown is a Southern-grown essayist, editor, and storyteller with a focus on media analyst and cultural critique. Currently serving as editor-in-chief of Where Your Voice magazine. As the series editor, Sharonda lends their historic expertise and experience as an activist to the world building of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer. So those are our creators. Again, there's not much I could go into as what they've done, other than what's there on page themselves. So that's what we'll go with. And now I'll read my synopsis, which reads nothing like the one that I just read. Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer opens with a scene of a house in Charleston, South Carolina in 1860. We then meet Venus and Caesar Edgefield, a father and daughter, as they sneak out of the house. Venus and the audience learn that Caesar is afraid of horses. I don't know why that's in there, but I'm sure it will be important at some point. Then Venus's mother, Catherine, shows up in a horse-drawn carriage. Just then, a group of 3 men show up who say that they patrolled the plantation to make sure that no slaves try to escape. Caesar and Venus bring out guns and begin to shoot the men, but they rise back up and we see that they are vampires. Before the vampires can kill the family, a woman walks up to offer $5,000 for the slaves, and when that doesn't work, she just begins taking them down one by one with some amazing fighting skills and some vampire-specific weapons. She then introduces herself to the family as Harriet Tubman, and the issue ends with the 4 being surrounded by vampires and a to be continued. Man, this issue is so fun. This is so cool. This, I'm gonna, spoil. We've done this a few times on the podcast where we can't even make it into the review yet, and we just have to, kind of gloat on it. But this is really, really good. Just to say right off the top, this is really good storytelling. This is a really cool, unique perspective, and it is done very well. The writing is awesome. The art complements it very well, and it is done very, very well. So now to go into, breaking down the beats and all of that stuff, we're going to do all that, but just know off the bat, like I'm already telling you right now, go pick this up because this is really good. And Bob, I don't know if you got the cover that I put in your pool or not.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, you got that great.
Thank you for the cover, by the way.
I have to say, I'm kind of pissed that I didn't grab it myself. I should have, because I went with this cover, which is a cool cover, but you got
how can you not do the Captain America Comics #1?
I know,
homage?
you got the homage, and it is fantastic. But everything about this book is fantastic. Even this cover, everything here is really, really great. I really like this comic a lot. So then let's go in to the beats. How did you feel this jump from, beat A to beat B and all of that? Like,
this was smooth flowing all the way around.
It was so cool because I like how it's just a little pocket. It's just like an event that happens, and it just captures that. It starts out with, the father, like they got this plan worked out. There doesn't need to be any exposition about it. It's just like, we already know what's going on. He's like, hey, get up, come on, be quiet, we gotta go. Okay, you guys are up, it's 1860, I get it, you're running away, to go be free. Makes sense, makes perfect sense. And then they get out there, and the mom, has went and got this horse and carriage, and it's like, okay, well, that makes sense too. She snuck out before or went out and whatever happened, but she got this so she could grab her family and they could go. And then it all makes sense because you got these dudes patrolling the area, and look, they were prepared. Had these not been supernatural people, they would have been dead and gone and no problems. But, they would have been picking up the bodies in the morning and then saying, okay, now we got to find these, this family or whatever. But, since it unfolded the way that it did, since it was, a supernatural element to it, they jumped back up, and I love that. I love that that's how we got the reveal of them being vampires, and then for Harriet to come out and just all that badassery that happens, God, it was really, really,
she killed
really cool.
somebody while spelling katana.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this was really, and it does a really, really outstanding job of painting her as like, hey, she's a badass. Like, and she can fight, and she's got this covered. And yeah, she came out of the shadows to save this family and whatever, and that's what she's gonna do. That's what she's out there doing. Really, really cool. I really love this. This is so awesome.
I texted this to a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and of course he hadn't heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
And he texted me back how it has like a Abraham Lincoln Vampire
Yeah.
Hunter
Mm-hmm.
or Pride and Prejudice in Zombies,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe to it. I'm not familiar with Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only familiar with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the movie.
Yep.
And to me, this is superior to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah, both of those stories almost kind of like just interject that stuff in there. Like this is built around it. This makes sense in the story, especially the Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. It's almost like it's Pride and Prejudice, and then they just throw zombies into it. Like it's not really a core part of the story or anything. But no, this really this is really good. Again, Bob, it's gonna suck at the end of the year. This is gonna be so hard. What a problem to have.
It is because I gotta say this just jumped up there to the top
I know,
not the top of my list, but top 10 definitely.
Yeah, imagine throwing this up against like World Tree or something. This is gonna be so hard.
I know.
It's so cool though. But yeah, this is really good.
The horror category is gonna be kind of hard.
Stacked, yeah. And what's cool, I just did a bonus episode this past weekend with the guy that I do the bonus episodes with. We did Tear Us Apart #1, and I mean this is better than that, but we went into it the same way. We're like, holy shit, this is so good. We can't even really find anything bad to say about it,
right.
And it's hard to critique a comic whenever you don't have anything bad to say about it. It's hard to just sit there over and over again and say how good it is, and not really be able to tear it apart and say anything bad. But how about the narrative then? The narrative of this whole book, God, it works so well.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the story about. Of course, everybody knows the story about Harriet Tubman
Mm-hmm.
and what she did about freeing slaves and all that. So I mean, people go in with kind of an idea of what to expect, but then they kind of flip it upside down.
Yep.
But I mean, the narrative definitely works. I mean, it kind of follows along the lines of Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
But without following along the lines of Harriet Tubman, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Bob, we're gonna take an impromptu break really, really quick, but we will be right back. We are back from our impromptu break. Sorry about that. Bob, let's talk about the dialogue then. How'd you feel about the voices of all of these characters? Now, the caveat being, let me say, and there is a warning at the beginning of the book, there's some language used in here that's not something that you and I are used to hearing very often. But there's a warning on the back of the cover of this book that says this book contains racial slurs used commonplace during this time period. So that makes sense. Again, I don't think that, hopefully in the context or whatever, you can like read it and kind of just brush it off like we were able to. But,
right.
If that is going to trigger like a bad response in you or whatever, please be aware of that. But I just did want to get that out of the way.
I will say though, it is, and I don't want to say that you see this run rampant, but it is kind of a nice change of pace to see a comic just go for it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And again, like, you have to remember these things happened. People were spoken to like that, and sometimes still are. Sadly, it's insane, but that still happens. So that's sadly a real part of history and a real part of life and everything.
Right.
And again, like not to get too political or anything, but we are in Florida, and a lot of Florida just wants to cover that up and act like it never happened. Which is insane.
And unfortunately, we do live in the region of the country where a lot of that stuff did happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it happened. all of that stuff happened. So I think to be able to face that and then like learn from our past and everything is very important. That's how I feel. I know that's how you feel. So that's not how everybody around us feels. But whatever. We can't speak for them. We can only speak for ourselves. So I think for these creators to be able to put it in there and then build off of that and everything shows their strength in confronting that and everything and how possibly they've been treated, family members, friends, whatever.
And I mean, they are trying to convey how people of the time spoke to other people and to try to dumb that down when everybody who's ever seen any kind of historical
yes, exactly,
read anything historically from that era knows exactly how things were.
Yep.
So that would just be hard to dumb down.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, not a topic that you and I are gonna shy away from at all. We're obviously we would love it if humans just learned from their past and acknowledged it and then made the necessary apologies for that or whatever I can't think of words, but and then didn't allow history to repeat itself. But unfortunately that's not something that you or I can control. But yeah, in this book here I feel like the dialogue, another strong point of this book. The characters all have very unique voices that work really, really well.
Right.
I love the family. I love the way they talk to one another. I love the way they talk. And then we get into the vampires and essentially, again, they're kind of like those racist like white guys from that time period or whatever. But their voices work.
Old white plantation.
Yeah.
Workers,
security, whatever they are.
Yeah.
And they work, and then Harriet Tubman coming in here with her dialogue and everything, really cool.
Yeah, she don't take no crap.
Yeah, she's just a badass character in this. Really, really cool, and it's just, I think that's what I like so much about the book. I mean, I like everything about it, but it seems like so genuine. Sometimes you just, to portray like badassery like on a page or whatever, like that's kind of hard to come across sometimes or whatever. But the second that she shows up, you're just like, oh hell yeah, like she's about to save the day or whatever, like just really heroic and cool and fearless or whatever. But I really like the portrayal. So then how about the world building? Again, kind of the same thing. They're re-expanding on this world that exists.
I can't remember. I might have just overlooked it. Did it say exactly where it took place?
Yeah, Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, right there at the front. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell that was either, you could definitely see, from the environment, from, the plantation to the whole house, that that took place in South Carolina. You could definitely see that.
Yep.
Or, South Carolina adjacent.
Yeah, definitely. It really works. You really feel that, I'm trying to think of some of those movies. There's like, they talked about comparing it to like Django Unchained and maybe The Help and stuff like that.
Django Unchained was a very good comparison.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, you just feel like, you're there. You feel like you're there in that time and place. So really cool.
Right.
Let's get into the art then. The art, is that a different story for us? Do we appreciate the art as much as the story? How about the character designs? How'd you feel about those?
The character designs, I mean, for me, just like detail and backgrounds, as long as everybody looks different and is distinct from, everybody else and doesn't have that same look, I mean, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, and this is, I agree, this is done really, really well. I really love the character designs here. They're all so distinct, along with their voices and everything. They're very distinct characters. They're fleshed out very well. The art is really phenomenal. I actually really, really like this art a lot. I think that I really enjoy this artist, and it seems like character design might be one of their like strengths.
Well, see, and we talked about this on last week's episode, where we said the art didn't match the story.
Yep.
And this one, I think the art definitely matched the story.
Yeah, I almost get this vibe from it. Like this team had to work together. Like I can't even imagine it with somebody else's art in it. Like it works so well. Not to say that the story doesn't hold up on its own, but
honestly, and be honest here. I mean, could you see this story working with like Alex Ross style art?
well, yes, I could still see it working, but
could
it
you
would
see
be
it working as well?
yeah, it would be such a different perspective. No, I don't see it working as well at all. I don't think I would love the art in this book as much with something as polished as that. This is almost like it's not cartoony, but like it. I don't know. I don't know exactly how to describe this.
It's that rougher style, which definitely lends itself to action and gore and all that kind of stuff. This is dealing with supernatural.
Yeah, exactly, and I love it. Like it's so cool. Some of the art, I have it open to a couple of pages right now, like where the Harriet Tubman has killed the vampires, and then they're slowly morphing into just a skeleton and all of that. It's just so cool. It's done so well. The action shots are done really well. The panel layout is very sparse in some areas and really really cool. This art is definitely a win. I'm even looking at one where Harriet Tubman's like a bottom panel and her just the handle of her katana is poking out from the panel, it just looks so cool. Yeah, the layout here is awesome. How about the locations then? We're just in the house on the plantation and kind of in the woods there. That's really the only places we go.
Right.
But yeah, they mirror the whole thing outstanding. It's done really, really well. I think the only different perspective we really get is that last panel where they're surrounded by the whatever they are. I assume vampires in the trees there. That's a really cool look. That's got a cool look to it. It's got this nice watercolor on the trees, and yeah, I love it. The big moon in the background there and everything. Lastly, let's just talk about the colors really quick because again, we don't have much, really anything to critique this book on. It's so good. The color palette's muted. It's a lot of grays. Like I said, the backgrounds have a lot of what I assume is watercolored, trees and stuff like that. And they're set up against just kind of like a wide open background and everything. So how do you feel about the colors here?
To me, I probably said before. I can't remember if I said it's got the horror color too.
Yep.
It's got the horror tint.
Yeah, it's got that muted, earthy tones to everything.
Right. I mean the backgrounds, have those foggy grays and whites. It's not until you get to the close-ups of the characters that it starts getting brighter.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was going to say about it does the, God, I can't think of the name of that movie now. The Schindler's List kind of thing or whatever, where, one color kind of pops and was that Schindler's List? Am I thinking of the right thing? I don't know. I could be thinking of the wrong movie. But, one color, kind of really pops and stands out, and it's red here. The red on, kind of in the vampire's eyes, around the mom's neck. She's got
I know they did that in what was it? I actually know they did that in Pleasantville.
Oh yeah, they did that
in some parts.
Yeah, and something that I think is really important here, like we see Harriet first, she's kind of hooded up, and then her hood kind of comes down, and then you see her signature head bandana on, that red bandana that she wears, and I think the color red is really important in this book, set up against all the other muted colors and everything.
Right.
But yeah, the colors work really, really well. So, with all that being said, Bob, do you have any intentions on moving on to issue number 2?
You even need to ask.
It's not that I need to, Bob. That's what the people pay for, okay? Everybody wants to know should they move on to issue number 2 or not. They need to hear it from your mouth, Bob.
Call your local comic shop right now. Yeah. Put it on your poll.
Look, all I can say is this. If you are lucky enough to be listening to this podcast right now and your local comic book shop still has any of this on their shelf, yeah, get the hell up there right now. Get up there. Whatever amount of copies you can grab in your hand that your local shop will let you take home, do it. It is absolutely worth the investment. Like the creators said, like we said at the top, this is soon to be a Disney Plus series. I'm not
I'm
100%
interested
sure.
to see how it's gonna be a
Yeah,
Disney
yeah,
Plus.
definitely. Me too. And I'm not 100% sure, but you and I talked off air. There is like 7 issues of this that are dated from 2017 to 2020. I don't know if this is a sequel to that, if this is a reprinting, another volume, what, but like all I can tell you right now is get this issue absolutely first and foremost, and then go track down that first printing or whatever it is of number 1. You're gonna want that in your collection.
Right.
If this is a reprint of that or whatever the stakes are, yes, get to your comic book shop, pick up a copy of this book. Do not trade wait for this. Don't read it digitally. Whatever you have to do, go get a floppy of this and add it to your collection because God, it's outstanding. Yes, I highly recommend that everybody check out issue number 2 of this.
Go get a 9mm copy of this.
Or whatever you got to do here, but yeah, this is a very, very good comic. This is how comics should be. Is really all that I can say.
That is how a number 1 should be.
Yeah, this is how you make a first issue comic book. Like hands down, this is the template for an issue number 1.
Right.
Absolutely. If I saw 30 first issue comic books come out like this, I would love every single one of them. There's not much else I can say here other than this is amazing. So go out and get a copy of that. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will tell you what comic books are coming out in your local comic book shops next week and wrap this thing up.
A battle for humanity's future is being waged on American soil right now. The cannabis plant has been used by humans for thousands of years, and yet it is still severely criminalized in much of the world. But the world is changing.
Yay!
In the U.S., 37 states have legalized cannabis for medical purposes, and 18 have done so for recreational use by adults. In Illinois, legalized cannabis has spurred an explosion of new businesses and products, all bringing in a massive stream of newly created revenue that other states are eager to match. Yet federally, cannabis faces much of the same resistance of the 1900s. How did marijuana get such a bad reputation? Why is it still so federally restricted? How are smoking and vaping different? How many edibles are too many? Which companies are coming out with the best new products? And who benefits from keeping Mary Jane in the dark? These are the types of questions we'll attempt to answer on the Cannabis Man podcast. A thorough look at all things cannabis, from its history to its explosion in states that have legalized it. So look out for the Cannabis Man podcast, coming soon wherever you get your podcasts.
And we are back with episode number 36 of the all-new, all-different number 1 comics podcast. Bob, tell them what new comic books are coming out next week.
I will, but before we begin, disclaimer time.
Disclaimer time with Bob. That was
all right, we'll go with that. These are just a few of the books that are coming out, may come out, should I say.
Yeah, we didn't get our Hexagon Bridge this week.
Right, and I'm just reading from one source, so if you want a more in-depth list as to what's coming out, please, look elsewhere.
Yes.
So, starting off from DC, we have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 19.
This one's got the origin of the world's finest. Batman and Superman team up. I don't know what the hell that means, but sure.
I don't know. Why do you need an origin?
I don't know.
Of a team up.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to team up? Hey, do you want to team up?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, there's the origin. You have Green Lantern War Journal number 1. It looks like DC is doing what Punisher did.
I was gonna say, how can you take the same subtitle there? But this is the premiere issue. It says it's the first appearance of an iconic new villain but it may be referring to the Revenant Queen, who first appeared in Green Lantern #1 from 2023.
Not familiar with Revenant Queen.
Likewise.
From Marvel, we have Star Wars Dark Droids D-Squad #1.
Yeah, the D-Squad. This is the first team appearance of the D-Squad, a team of droids led by R2-D2.
Not saying they're D-list characters, just they're an actual D-Squad.
And I'm definitely going to edit some of the R2-D2 like little beeps in there when I read the title, or when I said the whatever.
You should use that as a bumper.
Yeah.
We have a new What If Dark Carnage #1. I do not know how much darker you could get with Carnage.
Dude, that's exactly what I was about to say. How do you have a dark Carnage? Shit. Like, what's going to happen now? Yeah, this is What If Cortland Cassidy also merged with the symbiote. So, okay.
And who exactly is Cortland Cassidy?
It's Cletus Cassidy's somebody. I can't remember. Something to do with Cletus. Oh, sorry.
Sticking with Marvel, we have X-Men Annual #1.
Captain Marvel versus Cyclops in this Contest of Chaos crossover.
I'm sorry, that just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, fair by what standards? Who do you think is going to win, Bob?
I think Captain Marvel is going to wipe the floor with Cyclops.
I was going to say, because, I mean, a laser eye, like, how's that going to stop Captain Marvel? But
right. I mean, she's shown by the MCU. I mean, she can take a punch from Thanos or a headbutt from Thanos and not even blink.
Yeah, this will be a very unfair fight, I believe.
Yeah. So, going back to DC, we have Wonder Woman #1.
Dude, I'm kind of sad that we're rebooting Wonder Woman. I felt like that last creative team and everything was really well. I like the story and everything. I'm not ready for a new volume here. And this one is by Tom King and Daniel Stampers. I love Tom King. I don't know much about Daniel Stampers off the top of my head, but we'll have to see how this goes. Tom King on Wonder Woman. This has the first appearance of, I'm gonna say it's Emily.
Yes.
Okay, an Amazon, and the first full appearance of the Sovereign.
Okay. One of Dan and I's personal favorite, Superman #6.
Again, going back to that, what our work that's cut out for us at the end of the year, we have to put Superman #1 up against Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer, up against World Tree, up against Dark X-Men. Like, how up against
that definitely runs
Ultimate Invasion? Like,
that definitely runs the gamut of comic book storyline.
Yeah, this isn't fair. I'm starting to rethink the end of the year episode, Bob. But this one's got the first appearance of the Chained, a Doomsday level threat. Wow.
Going back to Marvel, we have Uncanny Spider-Man #1.
Dude, I am so stoked about this. A 5-issue limited series with Nightcrawler as the Spider-Man of New York City. So stoked.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait. This is going to be very, very cool. Nightcrawler Spider-Man.
I think his crime fighting would be easy because he can just teleport from...
phase in and out.
He can just teleport to the crime.
Mm-hmm.
And then teleport to jail. Sticking with Marvel, we have Captain America #1.
Again, getting some big #1s next week.
Yes.
Past, present, and future collide as the man out of time reckons with an existential threat determined to set the world on a darker path at any cost. This one is written by J. Michael Straczynski. I can't ever say that guy's name, but...
who's a very seminal Captain America writer.
Yes, exactly. So, man, big issue.
We have Predator versus Wolverine #1.
We all knew it was going to happen at some point, so it's happening now.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. That's going to be 4-issue limited. We have Strange Academy Moon Knight #1.
This one has the first appearance of the Equation. Okay.
The Equation.
Yeah, a villain at that. And this is a 3-issue limited series. I didn't think any of these Strange Academy I thought they were all one-shots. So, we had the Miles Morales one before. We had, ones before that and everything. But
so it's kind of like Night Terror +1.
Yeah, this one, a 3-issue series, so I don't know. It sounds interesting.
And finally, we have Wolverine number 37.
That's right. It's got a Hulk crossover, so there's that. And now comes the time where we talk about the book that we will be doing next week. Of course, we've got the wonderful wheelofnames.com loaded up with 3 titles to choose from between Wolverine vs. Predator number 1, Wonder Woman number 1, and Beautiful Soldiers number 1. Bob, I'm going to spin this wheel, see where it lands, and see which book we will be talking about next week. And it looks like the indie book has won yet again. We are covering Beautiful Soldiers, issue number 1 next week. Fun book, hopefully. I know nothing about, so it'll be a surprise to both of us.
Which hopefully comes out.
Yeah, exactly. If not, might be another impromptu, which is okay because that's what happened this week. We were supposed to be doing Hexagon Bridge. We ended up with Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer instead, and I must say,
I don't think we're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy we did. I would have read this book either way, but I would have been very sad I didn't get to cover it here on the podcast. So thank God that happened is all I can say. And that about wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, check us out on social media. We are on Instagram at ANAD_1 Comics Podcast. You can check us out on X at ANADNO Comic Pod. That's right. I left out the Twitter joke this time and just called it X, but I just backtracked and said it anyways. So you can also check us out on TikTok at ANAD_1 Comics Pod. And we are on YouTube under the Comic Book Channel. This and every single week, you can win a copy of this book. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to have a very, very, very hard time letting this one go. So I want to see lots of hashtags out there. If I'm not seeing at least 10, I'm not even going to run the contest this week. No joke. So if I don't see at least 10 hashtags, not even going to worry about running the contest. So make sure if you want a copy of this book, and trust me, you do want a copy of this book, that you use the hashtag AllNewAllDifferentNation on a social media post of your choice. And we will randomly select a winner, and Bob will pay for the postage to send it right to your front door in a bag and board.
Huh?
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.